Thanks everybody for joining us. I'm Stuart Stevens, and that's Joe Trippi over there, a guy who's always referred to as the legendary Joe Trippi, who, when I was a Republican consultant, the guy I hated to go against most because he was so fucking smart and would usually win.
I don't know about that, but I hated going against you. So
Joe and I back, I guess it was 2016, were asked to co-teach a course at the Institute of Politics at Chicago.
yeah,
Which is great. And mostly I just shut up and listened to Joe. And we were very fortunate that he reached out to the Lincoln Project and joined us and came over, and it's been a huge, huge help to us. So,
great
look,
to be with you guys. Really is.
now,
Joe,
Joe, so I was just thinking about it today. It seems to me that Alex Jones's worst nightmares have come true. You have federal troops in the streets of America.
yeah,
You have a powerful government taking over key industries like Intel.
yep,
You have a surveillance state that is out there now with unprecedented power, being run by foreign born oligarchs like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. And all of this is happening. The only thing is, it's not Democrats who are doing it, it's Republicans who are doing it.
it's Trump and MAGA. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so. The only thing that I think can match that with irony is that Republicans, seem so determined that I think fair to say that Trump's greatest achievement in his first term, or his only achievement, was the warp speed initiative to get a vaccine.
Yeah, and then
They put RFK Jr. who's like doing everything he can to undo it. But I tell you, I mean, it is just incredible. It just proves that the Republican Party believed in nothing.
well, yeah, you wrote that, and it's all a lie. I mean, it's a great book, and but very, very accurately describes what's happened, and that it was all a lie, that it was all BS. That this is where, look, it's the thing we've talked about. This was a movement, an unrelenting one that none of us recognized. I mean, even while we were in it, even when we were, fighting each other in a House race or a Senate race, it didn't really register what it until I actually I think it's why I picked up the phone and called you guys at the Lincoln Project and said, hey, when I realized what this was and what you were saying, that it was all a lie, and it becomes truer every day. It's more revealing every day that it is a movement. It wasn't a campaign every 2 years. It was the Democrats. We thought we were having another campaign. They thought they were still on the march to force this autocratic authoritarian takeover. And Trump, in a lot of ways, is just a vehicle. I mean, he's very good at being at bulldozing it through, but if it wasn't him, it'd be someone else. That's why when everybody talks about it, the whole, where is he? What happens if JD takes over? That same relentless march to authoritarianism, the same Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and the tech bros funding it relentlessly to gain. They think they know where to take the country. And it's not democracy, folks, and that's whether it's the technocracy or Trump wanting dictator wannabe. This is it will still be a relentless march. That we got to defeat and win the House in 2026, but the fight is going to continue whether Trump's there or not. It will be. They will keep.
I was watching that press conference. It's probably still going on.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't believe it. A guy, we just get so numb to it. He's just up there babbling with all this crazy shit. But over his right shoulder was J.D. Vance. And I tell you, man, I have seen buzzards on the side of the road eyeing roadkill with less gleam in their eye than J.D. Vance had. And Trump keeled over. It would have been like
the piece, the snake ad was so apropos, because it
it,
is the snake that Trump let in, and
you
that
just see
Peter
him.
Thiel put there, and that's
Okay.
exactly that ambition and the money of the tech bros. They're just laying in wait.
They have a moment. They'd have JD would, if Trump had keeled over at that podium, JD would have had a moment of silence while they dragged the body out, and then he would have been, okay, so where were we?
Yeah, exactly.
No. It's
No, but that's what I think. I mean, I think, look, the reality is, it's not a strategy. Hoping that Trump goes away and that's how this will all work out isn't a strategy. Hoping that he just disappears, that he drops tomorrow, whatever. And that's not a strategy. We have to create and build a pro-democracy movement. I mean, that's what Lincoln Square, I mean, so much of what we're all trying to do is about, because we've got to grow that a pro-democracy movement that's visible, that's in the streets, that's taking this thing head on every day. You're starting to see some of the Democratic Party come to life. Newsom, Pritzker.
So let's talk about that. So, I mean, I think it would be very rational and logical to posit, okay, you have Trump, president, done a disastrous job. All Democrats need to do is have a return to sane governance, to do a lot of good things for the middle class, and the country will realize what a mistake it was to even consider Trumpism. The only problem with that scenario is that's what we did with Biden. Right. And, how did that work out? So it seems to me when Democrats take the House, and I think they will, they have to approach this in a very different manner than all we need to do is get back to good governance. I think just personally, it'll be a great day if you wake up and Republicans are saying Democrats can't really do that.
Right,
exactly. Whatever it is they're proposing. I don't care if it's, arresting Elon Musk, or deporting Peter Thiel, whatever.
Yeah, well, that was the mistake that was made right after January 6th when Biden was sworn in. I mean, that was the moment when Merrick Garland, the charges should have been brought. The disqualifications, putting the facts on trial right then and there. That's the kind of I just think it's one of these things right now where you're seeing the fight, with Newsom, with Pritzker, as the president, puts now, like, I guess both Chicago and Baltimore are hellhole cities, according to him. And there's going to be, it's clear, this is the police state is happening. And there's a few governors that are standing up to it, but we all have to stand up to it. I mean, that's why, we've got to get visible. You got to get your friends to understand what the stakes are, and that this isn't, some attempt to fix crime. I mean, look, Democrats under Clinton, remember 50,000 more police officers on the street. 100,000, yeah, 100,000 police officers on the street. So there are ways, if Trump really wanted, I put the money out there to properly train and put 100,000 officers on the street. I mean, if he actually wanted to try to do something, put money into mental health or something else. That's not what this is. It's about creating the police state.
Say what you will.
Absolute power.
Say what you will about Rudy Giuliani. I was living in New York in those days. When Rudy Giuliani got elected mayor, in that campaign, they used to have this phenomenon of what we call squeegee men. You'd stop at a red light in the city, and then people would descend on your car, and then it'd be kind of a shakedown. So in a debate with Dinkins, he said, what are you going to, Dinkins challenged me, so what are you going to do, arrest these people? He goes, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And he says, like, where are you going to put them? He goes, well, we'll find out. So they did arrest him. And then about 6 months into Giuliani's first term, there was this horrible, horrible crime wave of some guy on the Upper East Side walking up behind women and hitting them in the head with a brick and running off. And the way they captured this guy was they were arresting people who were turnstile jumping and fingerprinting them. And he matched with that. So it was sort of, that broken window concept. So there are effective ways that we have seen to fight crime that all are very localized. I mean, Giuliani didn't help, not by bringing in troops.
No, but that's why crime has been going down 30%
They're going down.
these places over the last few years. So that's my point. So crime's going down. A lot of it is because of putting mental health and community policing, getting building relationships in the neighborhoods where crime's rampant or a chronic problem, and it's working. It's working. It's working in Chicago. It's working in Baltimore. It's working. We need to keep working on it, of course, and it will. But the programs are working. Instead, no cutting funds for that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the other side of it. It's like, yeah, the mental health money gone. And the more people are confronted with troops on the street, it just again, crime is I think Chief Ramsey in DC, former police chief, said it. You put troops in the street, crime's going to go down. Criminals aren't stupid. As soon as the troops leave, they're back and they're doing the same thing. You haven't done a damn thing to actually change the dynamic.
Well, I mean, look, the proof of this is, I just go back to my hometown, Jackson, Mississippi, right? The governor's mansion in Jackson, I've ever been there, it's right downtown. So the governor of Mississippi, Tate Reeves, who just sent 200 National Guardsmen from Mississippi up to DC, if he walks outside of his door in the governor's mansion, which he does because the guy lives there, he's 3 times more likely to get murdered than walking around DC.
Yeah.
And yet his solution to that wasn't, well, I am governor, I can call it the National Guard, so I'm going to call him out and put him in my own neighborhood. No, he didn't, because he knows it wouldn't help. I mean,
he sent him to DC.
So send him to DC. It's so, it's just the idea that somehow the only convicted felon we've ever had as president is out there talking about crime. Like, what? Have you lost your mind? Which is, I love Pritzker when he said he's a criminal.
Yeah. It's like, no. And what I loved about the press conference today was that the whole decision to send the Space Command to Alabama, the thing that really broke the camel's back was Colorado allows vote by mail and Alabama doesn't, or I think Alabama does. But anyway, that was like some of the craziest stuff I've ever. I mean, it was just, even from him, it was just like, what the are you? We're going to move a Space Command because there's corrupt vote by mail in Colorado. Makes sense. That's national security for you. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's another whole thing. Huntsville has always been a sort of fascinating, weird anomaly that it became a space. And it's because, of course, you had these powerful Southern senators. Why is there a Stennis Space Center on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi? Yeah. It's not because it was a great natural training ground for astronauts, people who, were taking off from Mardi Gras. They're like trained to be astronauts. It was just the power of these senators. And, just as an aside, when I was a kid going to school in public school in Jackson, Mississippi, we took a field trip to Huntsville. And one of my most vivid memories is meeting Walter von Braun. And it wasn't until later that I realized I was meeting a former SS colonel,
right,
who had been, rehabilitated to come to Huntsville, Alabama, to start building rockets so we could get to the moon before Russians. But it's I think one of the things that Democrats need to get better at is telling a story about this, putting it all in context. What does it mean? And it's so anti-American to do what Trump is doing and fight it on those grounds. You're upset with people in Colorado because they voted.
Right.
I mean,
and they didn't vote for you. So
yeah, they didn't vote. Same with
Alabama did. Alabama voted for them. So
that's what it's about.
And they don't have corrupt vote by mail in Alabama, of course.
Yeah. So my question to you is: do you think that Democrats have learned a lesson when they say we wake up in a world and it's January 2027. They now control the House. Are they going to go at this aggressively? Are they going to announce the investigations into Doge, the investigations into
Oh yeah, I think they'll do some of that, but a lot of it. But I also think the party is literally where a lot of the country is. I mean, I think there's still millions and millions of Americans who think this still can't happen here, even though it's happening.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of people in our institutions and yes, in the House, who think they can still maybe work a bill by trying to reach for votes on the other side, even though they haven't been able to do that forever since he came
Give them
down.
the Sudetenland.
But there's still that normal. It'll be normal again after we win in 2026. It's never going to be normal. We cannot go back. You can't go back. You can't put these pieces together again. It'll take decades.
No, you can't.
It's already been broken. And so I think you're starting to see the American people wake up to that fact a little bit as his favorables go down, as in the Zogby poll now, 2 Zogby polls in a row that say a majority of Americans say they're ashamed that Donald Trump is their president. And Stuart, you know what's amazing about this? Zogby's been asking that question. Guess when he first started asking the ashamed question?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. And he's been asking that question over every, presidential poll all the way till today. And guess who has topped out higher than anybody that the American people are ashamed of? Is their president, Donald Trump. And so that's what I'm saying. We're not talking, poll averages. We're always talking about the same guy doing the same methodology, asking the same question.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah.
And a majority of Americans are ashamed that Trump's their president, and they should be. I mean, I've been over, just coming from overseas, where so many people there, and I'm talking not just on the street, but public officials and other folks, activists, others I talk to, just are like we've really declined in their eyes under Trump, and they even ask, how can they ever trust us again? I mean, how can they trust that even with a Democratic president, or even a Romney style Republican becomes president someday? Doubtful that that's ever going to happen in our lifetime now. But even if that happened, how could they trust that anything that president committed to over that first term would be something they could buy? We had a solid credibility with people. It went from president to president. Yes, they had different ways of working with allies, or developing what their trade policies were, but they always could trust that there was some rational reason for what the leader of the U.S. was doing, even if it was in our interest and they disagreed with it. That's not there anymore. They also believe that they could count on us in the pinch. When if Putin came, they could count on us. They don't think they can count on us anymore. And then, of course, if that's the whole question. So now that changes. Trump's gone. It's J.D. Vance. They can't trust that. If it's a Democrat that beats him, how can they really still trust that 4 years later we won't put in
look, I think
right winger?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of these cases that, you've been there in multiple primary races, presidential races, where you can't talk your way out of a problem. You just have to win.
Yeah.
And prove you can win. And that'll change the conversation. I think it's going to take a reassertion of American leadership in some crisis that will be definitive.
That
will be for the right values. Well,
go ahead. No, that's the crisis that we might face, I mean, the kind of crises we might face now, whether it's another pandemic, whether it's a worldwide recession or something like that. I mean, the one thing that that I think is clear to anybody is that what Trump will make it worse. I mean, look at what they're doing at the CDC. Look at what's happening with vaccines. Look at what if something like that were to hit right now, the world is not. I mean, there's no one else to take our place, and we're not. And we've stopped research at universities. We've shut down the CDC. I mean, we're actually going down the other way, where whatever the catastrophe is that may hit. And by the way, a hurricane hitting the Panhandle is not necessarily, another. That happens, and how FEMA is going to react to it, and the incompetence. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think the world. I mean, then you start looking at Russia and Ukraine and the mishandling of that in terms of just basically throwing in the towel before you even open up negotiations with Putin. NATO's off everything. They're not going to be in NATO. I mean, just declare it all right up front. So there's nothing you have no cards. I mean, the world's watching all that. And I think you're right. It will take, I think the one thing I think that's needed, and that's a big cause of all this, is a real lack of national purpose that I think got eroded and declined over the, and I think what's going to happen, I mean, I hope what happens is that a leader steps forth. I don't give a damn if it's independent, whatever, who steps forth and speaks to our values and what we stand for in a way that the American people realize that, that's our national purpose. I'm hearing our national purpose in that leader, because it can't be that we hate immigrants, that we, our national purpose is to put troops on our streets.
There was
against everything. It's American. It's what we've stood for.
I was thinking about this. One of the things I think is so telling is that you look at these individuals: Trump, Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, RFK Jr. They all were very damaged people by the time they were, 10 years old. They're people that had hated the world.
Yeah.
They never fit in. A guy like J.D. Vance, I mean, he's on his fourth name and his, fifth ideology or something, which, not bad before you're 40. Stephen Miller, you've seen those video of him in high school.
Yeah.
You have Trump, who just, the worst of the rich kids with the father who hated him. And it's like you took the most damaged, twisted people who are trying to use public policy as a way to work through personal demons. Oh, it looks like we lost Joe.
I'm here.
You're still there? Okay. All right. I'm sure you just show the videos here. We're back. And, say what you will about, a George Bush, a Bill Clinton, a Ronald Reagan. They were optimistic people.
Yeah, exactly.
They had a John Kerry. They were people who were not angry at the world. And they realized that in many ways they were very lucky in life, and it's something that they didn't take for granted. I mean, Al Gore was that way.
A lot of people. I mean, Romney, McCain.
Gephardt.
Yeah, Romney, McCain, Gephardt.
Romney was that way. McCain was that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Bob Dole, for all the pain that guy suffered, like the sense of the optimism in him for what America. I mean, there are a lot of great Americans who never made it to the presidency because they drew the wrong straw. Like Walter Mondale draws Ronald Reagan. Dole gets Bill Clinton's reelection is his window, and McCain and Romney both draw Obama. But all of them, that's what I'm saying. The world saw whoever would have won those races saw a genuine American who had values that America was espousing in the world. Even when we didn't live up to them, the major focus, the major force that we were moving was in that same positive, optimistic direction. And then comes Trump, resentment, revenge, the whole thing. And I think that's what when you're overseas, it's like, which America are you? Are you really this revenge and resentful thing that's now shown up twice? Your voters did that in their view, and they're right. And they sometimes don't even understand our system in terms of how it's possible. But and that's it's going to take a while, I think. I mean, it'll take somebody who can espouse that purpose and not just to the American people, but to the world, and make people believe again.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever saw that film. It's actually a pretty good film, Civil War, based on the premise of. There's a moment in there I thought was really haunting when they're driving across the country trying to get to Washington for the final showdown. And this sort of militia group takes one of the reporters, and he's of Asian descent, and he's saying, "I'm an American," and says, "What kind of American?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's such a
great scene. Great.
Yeah, it's a great. It's so telling. I mean, the idea that we're relitigating slavery, like it was slavery, We've really gotten too negative on slavery.
Yeah.
I mean, it's we're forgetting the sort of vote-tech benefits.
Good parts about slavery, like
slavery. They were really just kind of
trades. Yeah, they learned trades. Give me
they were like agrarian interns or something. Not really. And we're revitalizing. This is the second revival of the Lost Cause, and having been at the epicenter of the first revival of the Lost Cause, growing up in Mississippi. It didn't work then. 1866, Mississippi was the poorest country poorest state in the nation. It's still the poorest state in the nation. And all the Confederate statutes in the world isn't going to change anything. Well, look, man, we'll wrap it up. But I just got to tell everybody out there, thank you for supporting this. You gotta listen, subscribe to Joe's podcast, that Trippi Show. There's so many podcasts out there. It's one of the few that I listen to every episode. And if you can, help us out here at Substack by being a paying member, if you can. This is the only way, as Joe says, that we're going to be able to change this. And watch what we have going on here. We've got tremendous shows now. Bobby Jones, one of my heroes, has a show that comes going to be on. I guess tomorrow is a show that he has. Maya May has a show. A lot of stuff here at Lincoln Square, and we're finding a big audience thanks to you.
Yeah, we have Trippi Olson guesting for Alex on this week's show.
Oh, really?
So we're recording that, and I just want to say again that what we have to build that pro-democracy movement, and that means building our own information distribution hubs. That means creating things like Lincoln Square and our own social networks. I'm not going to plug in for that, but it's up to you. You have to find other people, your friends, your family, your coworkers, and get them to tune in, get them to understand the stakes, and get them to be visible part of the pro-democracy movement. That's what
we're getting a correction that if you could put that up again, Bobby Jones's show, Anchor Watch. So just to give you 30 seconds of Bobby Jones, extraordinary guy. You got to watch this. A huge personality, incredibly charismatic guy. He's a Georgian, went to the Naval Academy, played football, the real deal, and now a retired commander. Was famous for when he graduated from, I Annapolis when President Bush was handing out diplomas. He bear hugged President Bush and picked him up, which is one of the famous scenes you see, like the Secret Service go, what's going on here?
Yeah,
What is this huge guy doing? But Bobby is so articulate on the issues, not just facing the military, but what it's like as somebody who's dedicated his life to service. And I think these veteran voices are so important. So, and he's also funny as hell. So watch Anchor Watch at 7.
Yeah.
And thank you. And we'll see you down the road.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.